We are back, the Three Stooges. G'day, how you doing? My name is Jackson. He doesn't know he's going to go across. No, that's good. Start here and we'll go across, all right? My name's Jackson. You! My name's Callum. This is Jarrad Wrigley. We're the Bonest brothers. This is Jarrad. And we'll be tonight's hosts. We are interviewing Craig Woodward. And we've got a couple of amazing questions lined up for him. Or just quickly had a chat before we started the live. Great guy. Can't wait to talk to him for a while. Yeah, he's got a few things coming out, a few exciting things. I mean, he's been talking to us behind the scenes, and we'll talk to him obviously more as the stream goes on. But he's got a few releases. He's got a few special people to talk about, and new music and where to see him and all that stuff we're going to be covering. So myself, Jarrad Wrigley, and my brother Callum, we're going to give it a crack. We're filling in for the GOAT, Danny Shaw, here on Country Kickback. She is the GOAT, but we will give it a crack and we'll try our best and try and have a bit of a fun chat with Craig. So drum roll, please. Let's
welcome Craig.
Let's welcome none other than Craig Woodward. How you doing, mate?
Hello from the Shire, Sharks territory. How are you, boys?
Very good, mate. Very good. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on. This is fantastic.
Our pleasure. Now, it wasn't our choice to have you on. We were just thrown into it yesterday. We'll take credit for it.
That's all right, Jarrad.
Scouting the last 6 months, and we thought, you know what? We'd love to have Craig.
Good to see you too, Jarrad.
Fantastic. What's that, mate?
Oh, that's fantastic. It's good to see the younger fellas in the industry doing this. Is fantastic. I know Danny's such a great supporter of everyone, but this is wonderful. This is going to be fun.
Oh, mate, 100%. We only got the call up yesterday. Danny, unfortunately, is a bit crook at the moment and just asked if we could fill in for him. We were like, we can give it a go. We don't know if your viewers will stay around to listen to our rubbish, but
no, it's very laid back. Very laid back. You could go anywhere.
They've been trained well from me, mate. They've been trained well from me, listening to me gibber on for the last 20 years. So I'm sure he'll be fine with you.
We love a bit of mate. Like I just never stop talking. That's why these blokes never get a go. So if you pull me up, I'd really appreciate that. And we're here to interview you. Remember that. So just always
no worries.
We're wanting to learn more and more about you. And for the viewers here that maybe haven't met Craig before, or if there are a few of his fans here, we're going to be talking about all some of the stuff that he's done and some of the new exciting stuff that he's got coming up. And I guess the first question is, I wanted to start with a single that you released in September last year, that one being Emotionless. Just talk us through how that one came about, and then I'll ask you a few questions about the name drops in there and what they mean to you as well. But Emotionless, how did that come about?
Yeah, no worries. So that's a song that was released last year, but it was actually penned early 2000, early 2002 to be precise. So that was my original band called Newstone, and we weren't country. We were more sort of like a mix between the Counting Crows, Crowded House, and that kind of adult contemporary vibe. And we wrote that song at the same period where our lead piano player, who actually co-wrote Get Your Boots On with me, his name was Borch. He's a Masso fella from Wollongong, and he was our brains on the keys. He's a wonderful, wonderful keys player, that kind of real Nashville level, exceptional musician. And his brother son, who was only 3 months old, passed away at 3 months old from health complications. And we all went to the funeral and supported, gathered around the family. And it was a really tough time. And we were only in our 20s, this is early sort of 2000s. And I come home that night, and as writers, as we always do, we take on stories and narratives and things that happen in milestones and also tragic circumstances that happen in our lives. And we manifest it, and it comes out the next morning if you're aware to it in the shape of some kind of art. And that word just kept on going around my head, thinking about the funeral and how tragic it was for the family. I'm void of all emotion, so I'm emotionless. Because I was just so drained. So that's the sad side of that. And then obviously you were talking about segueing into the content from the first couple of verses. That story came out for me in the 90s, when in the same year, Jeff Buckley, who, if most musicians know him, but a lot of younger people your age and sort of even younger don't really know who he is, but they got to look him up. Jeff Buckley from America, and then obviously Michael Hutchence as well from INXS. And that year, those two of my heroes passed in the 1 year. So I penned that to be kind of like a footnote in the sand of what happened during that year, and then obviously tied in that wanting to get that person back. Just they've gone too early. In the song when I talk about, they've gone too early, God give reprieve, let them stay. Can we have them back? And as we know, in those circumstances, you can't. But it was a nice tribute to those two of my heroes, and also a footnote to one of my best friends, little Bubba, that didn't live for too long, unfortunately.
Thank you for sharing with us. It's a really tough topic, and I mean, especially to write about it and then also put it out there. We really appreciate it, but you do it for everyone else. Everyone unfortunately goes through life, and you lose people, and it's not great, and unfortunately you can't get them back. But in writing that song, you've helped people with their grieving process, and also your music as well. So it's a very beautiful thing what music can do. And
that's right.
Thank you for sharing.
No, thanks, mate. And even on that, my lead guitarist, Matty Faville, who's the production brains behind the film clip that we did out at Broken Hill, not far from where they're doing the Red Bash, in a place called Silverton. And we drove the 13 hours from Sydney. It was raining the whole way out. We're looking at us going like, what are we doing? And then we got out to this place, and a beautiful lady out there who was almost like the mayor of Silverton, of the community leader. And she took us around, and she showed us all of these spots that no one could go to. And literally when we're filming these, the clouds are parting and the sun's coming out. And so there was definitely a divine intervention for that film clip as well. It was very powerful. And then the last morning we had, when the sun was rising, we got the best shots. And if you watch the film clip on YouTube for Emotionless, there's some moments where I'm doing they call it the Woody kick now. I'm going to claim it as mine, but I do this kind of cowboy kick, and it's shooting off into the horizon, and the sun's coming out, and all of the shapes and colors from Broken Hill and the red desert and the red. I mean, it's basically the outback. It's the start of the outback. And on the way out, we were talking about the song, and because Matt's always trying, he's great. I'd love him to work with you guys, actually, all three of you. He's a great storyteller, and he's a great producer, and he really, being an artist, he takes on the story and really wants to know what it was. And he said, mate, this is a song I related to the passing of my dad. He said, when I heard it first, he says, that's what we need to connect the dots with this song. So as you're saying, everyone's got a person or a loved one that's passed, whether it be your grandparent, or in this situation, it was two sort of superstars, and also a little fella who didn't make it past 3 months, unfortunately. So, it's a song that means a lot to me. It's a song I don't do every gig, because you've got to pick your moments for songs like that, especially if people want to drink and have party time. But if there's a moment, especially at a theatre or any kind of period song, where I can just lower the mood a bit and take them on that journey. It's wonderful, mate. I love it's like a story in itself with narrative, even without music.
Yeah.
100%, mate. I think the last time we were sort of speaking, obviously we really only get to see each other each Tamworth time. Yeah. I think you're actually talking to me about is it production company that you're running?
Yeah. So Speedy Tech Media. So like I've been doing a lot of interviewing like this, not at this standard. I'm very inspired by it, to be honest. But we do it great. Matt does a great work, but I'm just saying that with the whole interviewing process, we've been interviewing everyone in the country scene as well and doing a country music show. So that's a little side project, but it's basically for us to keep skilling ourselves up and become better at that production company and offer people, like if you look at the standard of that Emotionless film clip, it looks like a $15,000 clip, and we did it on a budget of about $3,500. So that's what we want to do. We want to give artists like yourselves and even artists that are more established just that alternative to those big, massive price points because the technology's come so far. It's really up to the creative eye that sort of directs it into that that expensive looking thing, So
100%, absolutely, especially with social media, TikTok and Instagram, everything. Like, even if you're only using those 20-second clips, that can make a world of difference for an up and coming artist having something that just looks good. But mate, outside of Tamworth, as we were saying before, you've been on the road quite a bit lately.
Yeah, been doing a lot of we've actually finally sort of cracked a few good rooms in Queensland. Are you guys up at Queensland? Is that where you're?
We're in Queensland right now.
We're in the Goldie. Yeah, so we did Bundaberg Waves Club at Bundaberg.
Yeah, we played there. Yeah,
great venue, and we sold it out in that auditorium, which is just fantastic. So I've got a Queensland band as well as a Sydney band.
Yeah.
So I did that purely because it's so expensive to travel with airfares and that. So myself and Matt and my guitarist and myself, we travel, and then we get up there. And the original drummer from that old band Newstone lives in Queensland, so he's my drummer in Queensland.
Is that right?
Yeah. So we got quite a few. We got probably about 6 or 7 dates of the show, which is the Craig Woodward show, which we do we call it the after party of Keith Urban and Bryan Adams. So we drag them in with all those fans, and my music, to be honest, is kind of like a handshake to their style anyway. So we go up there and we perform that, and then I sell all my own merch. It's all my own T-shirts and CDs and
right.
But we do, we've put a lot of effort into that show. Like it's all we play it to click, we play it to some tracks, we play it with big 75-inch screens that come up with all the film clips. It's we're just trying to lift because if we're going to charge $35 a ticket, we want people to come and go, well, I'd pay $50 for that. That's what I want people to be able to talk about when they leave. And just lift the bar. Like I mean, I don't want to just be a band on stage. I want it to be a show and a captivating, well thought out journey. If I'm going to show my songs and Keith and Bryan, I better do it as best I can, So that's the philosophy, and have people walk away going, wow, that's $35. We got a bargain,
Yeah,
that sounds great.
I'm pretty interested in the difference between the Queensland and the New South Wales band. I mean,
bit of origin.
Obviously, being Queensland boys, we know which band is better. But
it depends whether you're talking about game 1 or game 2.
No. Game one.
Yeah, game one. Just quietly speaking, we love Queensland, and I love being up there. My first song, Bondi Smile, I talk about. She had a Bondi smile, Queensland tan, because it was. I spent a lot of time up there as a kid. Mum and Dad would always go to Queensland. We drive up in an old Kingswood, which is a car nobody knows about, but that was like a Holden Kingswood was the biggest bob on the road, and Mum and Dad had one. And we'd all jump in the back with my 2 sisters, and we go up the coast. And these are the days before the bypasses are in, so you go through every coastal town. And I've got another song that'll probably come out as a single later, and I talk about hurricanes and lightning and the smell of sugar cane on the horizon. You can really, when you get to Queensland, you smell that cane burning, you're in banana bender country.
That's it, 100%.
We've been traveling a bit. Yeah, that's the goal, just to get mainly New South Wales and Queensland at this stage, because it's well supported for the sort of music that I play. And it cost a fortune to go to Perth, I reckon, if we flew over there. But yeah, love it, mate. The more time I can spend in Queensland, the better, I reckon.
It's the way to be. I mean, there's a reason why everyone comes to Queensland.
Yeah.
it really is just.
Well, you can see what I'm dressed in. You guys are in shorts. I'm like this, dressed in a bloody. Look like I'm going down. I'm going to the snowfields after this. I'm going to ski home. So it's a bit cold, mate.
Something that you said, which kind of pricked my ears a little bit just then, it was rather interesting. Is saying,
he's not an interviewer.
We're not interviewers. You mentioned
your ears, yeah. Prick your ears, definitely. Go on. Holy moly.
That's all right.
You mentioned.
I'm with you. Yeah, you knew about one. Do you know what a Holden Kingswood is?
Mate, I grew up in Ipswich. Of course I knew what a Holden Kingswood is. It's Bogan Central of Australia.
Every second car was a Holden Kingswood. It was a green. We had a green one.
A green one.
This is well before all of our time. Even for me, there was a show called Kingswood Country. If you YouTube, you might see it. And had this. It was basically this guy. All we talk about was the Kingswood. No, the Kingswood, that wouldn't happen in the Kingswood. And the Kingswood was so good, guys. We'd get home from a holiday, and instead of vacuuming it out, Mum would just take the kids out. Dad would take the kids out. Dad would get the hose and just hose the back of it.
Yeah, wow.
And the water would get out of the rust holes in the bottom of the back of the car. It was there was no carpet in it. It was just like this, like a nylon kind of lining. So
just vinyl.
They were the days.
Yeah, now I'm stuck with a Kia Serato that's got KFC crumbs in it. So
you gotta plug it in. You gotta plug it into an electrician. You plug it into a power.
They keep putting up those penny pinchers, so you can't keep your car too clean.
I knew I'd like this interview. I am a fan of the zinger.
It's going to go a bit south, so I'm sorry.
I'm definitely a fan of the zinger.
Look, get back on track. I will talk about zingers all night. But
that's all right.
When coming talking about Craig Woodward, you were mentioning to us before you've got some new and exciting stuff coming back on track off the Wicked Wings. I think it's actually more excited than Wicked Wings. It's new music from yourself. You said you were recording an album, possibly.
Yeah, so the album's finished.
Did you finish the album?
It's been 3 years in the making, so it's taken a while.
Wow.
And you boys know how expensive it is.
People go, put out a single. Why are you hurrying it? It's expensive just to do that. So
that's the reason why I'm getting Wicked Wings.
Yeah, mate.
That's right.
Mate, I've got it.
But that's right. Yeah, but 100%, boys. But I'm so proud of it. Like, it's really. I've got one album out, but there's some songs on here that are really, really. I sort of when I talk about the album and where it went, it's from the age of 18, really. 16 was when I started writing, but from about 18 I started writing decent or songs I thought were decent. From 18 to like my early 40s. So there's something. I mean, if you go through the lineage of the song, I could sort of put a footnote or a line through all of these songs from first to last. And the last song is a song that you guys have got on the screen here, "My Way Home," the latest single. Yeah. And that was a hats off to my beautiful wife Haley, who puts up with a musician, and I've had 2 gorgeous kids too, or with I should say that. I should shout out Jet and Jax and Haley. Hope you guys they won't be watching this. Jet and Jax will be asleep, but I'll make sure I show them the replay, and they'll be they're only 7 and 4, mate, so they're in bed by 7:30. And it's
7 and 4 the days is bloody 17 when we were kids.
Yeah. Well, that we've got them under a tight for the years that I can keep control of them. I'll keep control of them because they're cheeky.
Good on you.
So the album's done, boys. It'll be for those fans who have already bought it, they'll get a copy, a full copy, the artwork and signed and all of and I've got USBs I'm going to sell as well. But then the rest of the album won't be released until probably November, December. I'll drip feed about 4 or 5 singles off it, and just get some like what you guys were saying. I've got all this. I mean, I'll be honest to tell people out there so they know it's in excess of $20,000 to make this album, and I'm gonna get my traction with it. You know, I'm gonna just do it because I've been watching all these videos on YouTube and they're saying don't just throw it up on Spotify. What a waste of money, you know. Make sure you drip feed it. So and it gives you more singles to release and get and find out what's really hitting with the fans. with the people who like it. So,
well, before I ask another question, I'll just go straight to the question. Actually, as an artist, we know I've released one album myself, and that's it.
You've released an album.
Just myself, not that bloke over there. No, me and that bloke over there have released an album. And for yourself, this is your second album that you're going to release. What is the difference that you feel, doing a first album, it's very intimidating and you're putting it all out there. And then when it's out, I mean, when we released our first album, which is not that long ago, talking about it, I get to a couple of years past now and I'm like, geez, like, I've talked to a couple of artists about it. I'm like, I don't really like that song as much as I did when I recorded it.
When you did it, yeah.
But apparently, they say it's maturing, and as you grow older, you kind of learn to like it. And then by your second album, you've learned a lot from your first.
Yeah.
Is it different this time around?
It was different with the approach that I had, an even greater opening or understanding and acceptance of help. So when I did my first album, I was really locked into the songs. I pretty much recorded with an amazing producer. So fortunately, I can look back on it, and sonically speaking, it's really good still. Like, it sounds great. I used a guy called Steve Manofsky, who's over in the UK now, and he records Megan Trainor and Craig David, and he's doing some big stuff. But he was well a year ahead of his years, and I was looking for somebody in the same sort of that kind of genius producer kind of headspace, because I realized when I did that, went through that experience, a good song becomes a great song with a great producer, and you take the reins and you give them the reins, and you say, where can you see it moving? And then this one, I went even more. I mean, I play well, and I'm a guitarist and a singer and a songwriter and a drummer, and but I'm not, like my guitarist is like a Nashville guy. He's just exceptional. So I just said, you know what, mate? I said, this needs you. Can you? And he said, 100%, mate. He says, I love your music, and you're a great songwriter, and he's really, really supportive of me. And this is Matt. So this is the guy I work in the production team. And if I didn't do that and lean on all these other the drumming was digital drums when we recorded the first version. There's even a couple of versions online of some of the songs there's 2 songs off the album that I've released as singles, and that they have the VST drums on it. And then Matt was going, it's just not hitting, man. It's just not, there's no space. There's no air. We need the air back in the drums. And then when I got Murray Sheridan in, now Murray spent, I cut my teeth when I was your age with Murray in bars in Sydney, and he was a drummer then. I said, man, you're one of the best drummers I've ever played with. So he then went off and spent 7 years at Sony as one of the head engineers. He's recorded Boys to Men, Pink, like a swag of like superstars. And now he's got his own. Yeah, he is. But he's not, if you met him, guys, he's just like us. He's just a dude. And now he's got his own studio in the Blue Mountains. You can look him up. And I said, mate, can you do the drums for me on all the tracks? And he gave me a really sweet deal. And you listen to the drums and you'll go, wow, man, he'll come out of a drum session and he'll be like in his seat. And that's how much energy he puts in, because he's just working it so much so that when you listen to it, it plays with your ears, and it's exciting drum part, So I haven't pulled punches yet. As I said, there's no joke. I'd spent over 20 grand on it. But I can put it on now, and I got Jai Banks to play pedal steel, and he's one of the better pedal steel guys in Sydney from the Banks brothers. But I've got a guy who I use in Nashville, Sasha Ostrovsky. Now, Sasha is the MD. Do you know him? Do you know Sasha?
No, we think the dog just ran into the door.
The dog just
okay.
Dog's outside.
Okay, that's all right. But yeah, Sasha's like the MD for Darius Rucker. So he's like,
right?
Yeah, and like you literally, if you guys ever need to know these people, I can send you their links, man. Like if you need pedal, you can go to the top, and he's doing like a session fee for 150 US, and he just comes back immaculate. You just put it into the door and see you later. The job's done. So
awesome. Thank you for that.
So that's really interesting. So obviously it's a pretty large album, and being 20 plus years worth of material, as you were saying, is it sort of, if we were to listen to it knowing nothing about you, does it sort of tell your story?
Yeah, that was the other segue I was going to talk about as well. I've definitely found my own sound, and that's really important to me. And even Cam Surrett, Cam Jarrad, who's been helping me with the management, he said, mate, you've formulated your own sound even more on this album, so just keep doing that. And that's what I want. I mean, I'm not one line. I'm not a Luke Combs kind of country guy. I'm not even really a Keith Urban country guy. When you listen to my music, there's some songs on there, they borderline funk, and I've got to be careful how I say it, because it's country funk. It's called kunk, and and it's no, but it's this is songs from Newstone, but I put pedal steel in it. I made the arrangement a little bit lighter, and it's come out like it's not country at all, but it's my own thing, and I'm very proud of that. When people come, they're going to be dancing, and there's pedal steel in the background just roaring through the lead breaks, and it's going to be something interesting, hopefully, for the because it's evolved so much, as you guys know. Look at what Hot Country Kicks is playing, and anything even in Nashville. I mean, you look at, they're doing all those crossover sessions in Nashville now. So there's all these artists coming from, I mean, Rihanna was an obvious one, but there's all these other artists that are coming in and just bending the rules of what country is, which is, at the end of the day, a good song and a story and good lyrics, and touch on a heartstring or break a back and bend a heart, then you got a country song. But I mean, there's My Way Home. That's probably the most country ballad I've ever written, and it's when you listen to it, it's definitely in the lines of more like Troy Casadale kind of vibe. So
we love it.
So there's something for everyone, hopefully. But mate, like you guys as well, I'm still going, is this my sound? But I've got I'm slowly starting to formulate my own brand, which is what I want to do.
That's great to hear, and we're pretty excited to listen to My Way Home. So if you want to,
I'll give you
a guitar there.
All right,
and,
no worries.
If you want to take it away,
no worries.
It's yours.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
No worries.
Like a hurricane that brought me to my knees, a midnight stare running right through me, all those almond eyes that only I see, only I see. When the day breaks, the morning sun, and the desperate cry I cry when things get rough, how I long for just a touch of your embrace, a light on the horizon, a beacon in the dark, arms around my body when I drifted out too far. I whispered above the crowd, it speaks right to my heart when I'm lost and all alone. You're my way home. You're the calm when I'm afraid, the strength in my day, a pillar your 3 boys can lean upon. Loyal, fierce and strong, a woman for my soul, and a love that never grows old. A light on the horizon, a beacon in the dark, arms around my body when I drifted out too far. I whispered above the crowd, it speaks right to my heart when I'm lost and all alone. You're my way home. My way home. My way home. A light on the horizon, a beacon in the dark, the one to keep me honest when I pushed it just too far. I whispered above the crowd, it speaks right to my heart when I'm lost and all alone, you're my way home. You're my way home. Oh yes, you're my way home. You're my way home. You're my way home.
Well done, mate.
Absolutely
beautiful.
Thanks, boys.
Well, it was a pleasure having you play that song. That's called My Way Home. Give that a listen. It's had over 100,000 ticks, so well done to yourself, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Let's hope to get another 100,000 on that beauty.
I should give a shout out to the songwriter with that as well, because I can't take claim of that. That's actually co-written by Anthony Snape. Do you guys know Anthony Snape?
I can't say.
I haven't. No.
So his claim to fame is for 10 years before COVID, he toured with Tommy Emmanuel as Tommy Emmanuel's support act.
Yeah.
So this guy can sing, man. He's got the vocal cords of like John Farnham. And and he wrote that with me in my little studio. Thank you, Jan, by the way. I appreciate it. Reach out to me, there's a lot of people in the comments. So thank to everyone for commenting as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you to everyone. I think we got Naughty Nana in here as well. Jim Smith. Honestly,
I saw that. It's not just making it up.
I'm not just making it up.
Most of all, thanks for spending your Wednesday night with us and trusting us to ask you some questions that were hopefully okay.
Oh, we didn't ask Craig.
Yes.
Now, we are sort of coming to the tail end of this conversation, but we do have an extremely important question for you, which is...
Well, it's Callum that wanted to ask.
Oh, it's Callum.
No, well, we're going through your catalogue and we saw you released a version of Iris. Is that right?
I did, yes. I did a country version. I played it on piano and put pedal steel on it. And that's my favourite band. The Goo Goo Dolls are my favourite band. I grew up listening to them. The first song I ever learnt was, you know this one? Oh, I obviously didn't learn it very well. Remember that song, Slide, by the Goo Goo Dolls?
No, I've heard the guitar before.
Yeah, you'd know that riff. But it was so funny. Just this year, I went to see them live. Right? They supported, not supported. It was a double billing with Matchbox 20, and my wife, bless her, bought me tickets to meet and greet. And I got out there and I had my album, and I was about 4.5 rums of cokes because I was like, I'm meeting my heroes. You know, I don't want to keep it cool. And I walked in and just made the biggest. I went, man, I love you guys.
You walk in. That's like, a classic.
Yeah, and they put me in their promo for their like Australian tour. There's like videos of So I've got on there and I've screenshotted it, so I've got it forever. And there's me with my album, and they're hugging me, and they're like, this guy, like. So they've got my album. So if they ever tour Australia again, I'm going to hit them up and say, I was that guy saying I want to support you. So, that was
holding the four court cases in a can.
I know. Well, a lot of those guys, like unlike us Aussies, none of them drink. They all, because I mean, they've probably lived a hard life, but we in Australia a bit more rock and roll. We do love an occasional bourbon or a Bundy. I always say Bundy. I'm not a whiskey drinker. When everyone's in countries talking about whiskey, I think I'm going to write a song. We don't drink whiskey, we drink rum. I reckon that'd be a good anthem.
Although it does have a little bit of a different ring to it. I mean, like, you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. Doesn't sound the same as, hey, Sheila, you look as good as Bundaberg rum.
That's right. That's true.
The next sentence after that, rhyming with rum.
Yeah. Oh, we won't go there. It's a family show. Yeah, I put it out there because I just love that song, and everyone knows that song. And it did really well. People love it. It's another one you got to pick your gigs. I mean, it's a quiet version I've done, but mate, we did a cool film clip out in the national park, which is only 10 minutes from where I live. So it was Jay Senior did that film clip for me. So we all know Jay.
Very good.
Good old Jay did a great job, and so not against putting a cover out, but you got to put a spin on it, don't you? You know.
100%. Now, Craig, the album is coming out relatively soon. Have you got a date lined up yet?
It will be most likely in December. I don't have the date. So it's a little way away, but there'll be songs released off that. But to all those fans who are going to get up me on the socials, you will be getting your copy. The ones that have paid for it, don't worry, they'll get a pre-release, and then I'll be stepping the songs out. I might maybe November. Just the biggest thing is with us indies is to release it when there's not Lee Kernaghan releasing, or even James Johnson or somebody, because there's no chance of getting up the ARIA charts if they've got a big release out. So my old mate James Keith, you probably heard of James Keith.
Yeah, mate.
He's a good guy, and he was smart. He put it out in January, and there was no one releasing albums, so you went straight to the top. So just there's all this strategy we've got to think about as indie artists, because we don't have millions of dollars of marketing power. So,
nah.
But the music's good. I'm really proud of the album. So thanks so much for having me, boys. It's been I can't wait to see you all in Queensland and Tamworth.
Thanks for chatting,
Craig. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for sticking up and putting up with our rubbish. We've had
not at all
of a time. Hopefully next time we interview you will be a little bit smoother and polished. But I mean, hey,
you're naturals. You're good at it, boys. You're good at it. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. We'll see you on the road.
Enjoy
it, everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And good. Get well, Danny. Get well, Danny.
Get well, Danny.